Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. An update from Ukraine of what's going on over there, and we find that the Russians are massively bombarding the Kherson Oblast, which is in the south, north of Crimean Peninsula. So let's figure it out a little bit here. So this is Kherson is right here. Let me go back right here. This is the Kherson Oblast in this area. So this is the city of Kherson. And according to the Ukrainians, the Russians are conducting massive bombardments right here. The new voice of Ukraine shelled 55 times overnight. And this is the update, war update, and this is the Russian update. So let's start with the general update from the Ukrainians. First, from the 19th of February 2023 from Ukrinform. War update. Logistics problems force Russians to send inoperative S-300 systems back to manufacturers. So this is for us to understand, and for the big arm suppliers, buy the American weapons, because the Russian weapons are crap. That's the message right here. I got to learn that little by little. Due to logistics problems and the impossibility of promptly servicing equipment in combat conditions, Russian troops are sending modernized S-300 air defense missile systems back to manufacturers after they fail prematurely. So don't buy those, okay? Buy HIMARS, basically. The relevant statement was made by the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Over the past day, Russian troops launched 4 airstrike and 15 missile strikes, mostly on civil infrastructure in Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk and Kherson regions. So these are Donetsk and Kherson regions are right here, this area. So let's see what the Russians are saying. Here they say this is Kharkov region. In the course of active operations, forces of the Zapad group struck Ukrainian manpower and equipment using artillery. All right, this is Kharkiv area. So this is the Luhansk. This is Donetsk. So let's go and see what these guys keep saying. So they say Donetsk and Kherson region. Kherson, as I said, where is it? Kharkiv, and Kherson is down. Right here. So they jump from one corner to another. And just so you know, every time I see this guy everywhere, it's unbelievable. This reminds me of my youth and my childhood, when I used to see Ceausescu everywhere, every freaking where. And it's not that he's, they make out of this guy a symbol, and it's not, he's just a clown. But hey, it becomes irritating just to see him so often, you know what I mean? And he's always like serious and determined and irresolute and all that. He's just, Jesus Christ. Yeah, he's not like that. Anyway, that's my assessment based on other videos. Over the past day, Russian troops launched 4 airstrikes and 15 missile strikes, mostly on civil infrastructure. The enemy also opened fire with multiple launch rocket system MLRS over 50 times. I'm assuming this is what I talk about. Kherson Oblast shelled 55 times overnight, 2 civilians injured, residential buildings damaged. Okay, let's go back here and see what these guys are saying here. Okay, in Kherson, let's see what they did here. Russian artillerymen destroyed an MSTA-B howitzer with ammunition. 6 Ukrainian servicemen were killed, 2 other injured. Okay, so there's not a 55. Let's say Kherson. Russian forces destroyed several Ukrainian ammunition warehouses. Air defenses shot down a drone. Not 55. Let's see. Russian artillery men destroyed a US-made AN/TPQ radar system. 4 Ukrainian servicemen were killed. 1 was injured. Okay, this all right here. Russian forces destroyed several Ukrainian ammunition warehouses. I don't see anything of 55. Well, maybe it is. Let's see what's going on here. What did the Ukrainians do? Ukrainian forces shelled the city. One building burned down. Several others sustained significant damage to the roof and walls. So according to the Russians, nothing really occurs here of this kind of magnitude. But hey, this is war. The threat of Russian missile strike is persisting all over Ukraine. Russian invaders continue focusing efforts on conducting offensive actions in Kupiansk, Liman, Bakhmut, Avdiivka, and Shakhtarsk directions. So these are all north. This, right here. They're all in this area. Starting from here, down south, and this is where the Russians are conducting their offensive operation. Let's make it, this is Bakhmut here, they call it Artemovsk, and they also called Vuhledar, Ugledar is right here, this right here. So that's where the main offensive occurs according to the Ukrainians. In the past 24 hours, Ukraine's defense forces have repelled enemy attacks near the Kharkiv region, in Luhansk region, Donetsk region, and around Bakhmut. So they repelled they repelled attacks on where I said that this area here, all this. In Volyn, Polisia, Siversky, and Slobozansky directions, the enemy continues to keep certain military units within the areas bordering with Ukraine. However, no enemy offensive regrouping were detected. Over the past day, 23 settlements came under fire, including in Sumy regions, and they give you some settlements. Now, Sumy is outside, is right here, is outside of all this little war. So Sumy is this. And they talk about Sumy and Chernihiv or Chernigov, depends. This is a Russian map, so the names of the towns, like we have Kharkov here instead of Kharkiv, they have different names, Artemovsk or whatever that was. Yeah, Artemovsk versus Bakhmut. So I will use both, but I will identify. Now Sumy is Sumy. I have here. All right, so in the Kupiansk and Liman direction, so they come south now. Russian troops shelled Kharkiv regions, the Luhansk region, and the Donetsk region. So now they talked about a little bit going south with the map, this area right here. And let's say what these guys are saying, right? What the Russians are saying. In the course of active operations, forces of Zapad group struck Ukrainian manpower. So these are attacks, offensive, where you see all this AK-47. Let's see this, what's going on. As a result, that's the same word. As a result, forces of Center Group destroyed UAF troops and equipment using artillery. So let's see what the Ukrainians did, because here where the blue little circles are, the Ukrainians did something. Let's see. Ukrainian forces shelled the Kievsky, and about three more settlements, 95 shells were fired at the city. So by Donetsk, let's see Donetsk, Ukrainian forces fired 10 shells at the city. Yasionovatia, Ukrainian forces fired 5 shells at the city. So this is what the Ukrainians are hitting, bombarding, shelling. In the Bakhmut direction, Russian invaders opened fire on 21 settlements, namely in Donetsk region, the ones where we were over there. In the Avdiivka and Shakhtarsk directions, going south a little bit, Russian troops launched artillery strikes on 16 settlements. And in Zaporozhye is down here. It's south of this, is Zaporozhye right here. Let's see what the Russians said. Russian forces destroyed the Ukrainian command center. That's all, nothing else. You can go here maybe, but not. Vuhledar, we already did it. So, in Zaporozhye direction, Russian occupiers shelled the Donetsk regions, Vremivka, and the Zaporozhye region. And they give us 6 settlements. In the Kherson direction, that's where this occurred, and we already read it. This is on the bottom here. The Russians did not give much information. Russian troops launched artillery strikes on the city of Kherson and near 27 more settlements. What the Russians say, not much. Let's see what in Kherson. Russian forces destroyed several Ukrainian ammunition warehouses. Air defense shot down a drone. All right, now in the past 24 hours, Ukrainian air forces have launched 6 strikes on enemy personnel and military equipment clusters, as well as 1 Russian air defense missile system position. Ukraine's anti-aircraft defense units shot down 2 Caliber-type cruise missiles, while missile and artillery units hit 1 enemy personnel cluster. So let's go to this one. Kherson Oblast, shelled 55 times overnight. So this is where nothing happened, according to the Russians. This is what happened, nothing. But I believe them. The Russian attacked Ukrainian settlements with multiple rocket launcher mortars, artillery, infantry, fighting vehicles and UAVs. In addition, the Russian army fired 9 times at Kherson. Residential buildings were damaged in the southern Ukrainian city. So residential buildings, the other one say command post. Let's see, right here, Kherson. Several Ukrainian ammunition warehouses. Okay, this is the report. In addition, the Russian army fired 9 times at Kherson. Yeah, the regional authorities said 2 people sustained injuries. So, in particular, the enemy is targeting medical facilities, residential buildings, and educational institutions, the general staff said. And if I go to the Russians again, Russia forces destroyed several Ukrainian ammunition warehouses. Air defense shot down a drone in Kherson. But Kherson, right here, the town. So, as you can see, they have their truth, their reality. Now, who's lying? Probably both. Who's exaggerating? Probably both. But that's the way war is conducted. The Russians are a little bit more tight-mouthed when they talk about their operation, and the Russian Ministry of Defense, they have a daily briefing, but I tried to access that a few times and I couldn't. If I want to go directly to it's banned. I tried to access through Russian Sputnik or Russia Today, where I can access them, these outlets, but when is the Ministry of Defense, is the Russian Ministry of Defense daily report, they say that the local laws prevent this blah 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 to be open, this article or something like this. Only that one. Yesterday I used that in reported by Al Mayadin, an Arab independent media outlet, and sometimes you can find it, if you know how, through YouTube, and you find a briefing of Igor Karmashovov, something like this, the general. He's the spokesman of the Russian Defense Department, or so Ministry of Defense. But as I said, it's very interesting that only that is banned in the land of the free. Probably they protect me. They protect me because I need mommy and daddy, and they know best what I should do. Or maybe they protect themselves from me knowing something that I'm not supposed to know. Therefore, I'm going to ask questions. And they protect themselves by thinking that doing this is going to limit my desire to find out. Yeah, some people get lazy and another click, nah, I'm going to go and get a beer instead. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.